Welcome to Midweek Musings, week 34. I want to talk today about hunger and how you manage your hunger and what do you do when you have hungry days, or what do I do when I have hungry days. What I would say is hungry days are so normal. Mounjaro, even though it is an appetite suppressant, is not meant to completely take your hunger away. Hunger cues, hunger signals are perfectly normal and we're supposed to act upon them. So when our body is hungry, it is craving nourishment. The difference is, I think, when we're doing a GLP-1, we have to be more mindful about how we feed that hunger to make sure that we're getting adequate nutrition, that we're getting all of our macros that we need, and that we're reaching a level of satiety that's going to take us through the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, etc. Whilst there is a benefit to having hunger suppression in the beginning, when you have been a huge overeater, like me, I was a huge overeater. The hunger suppression is there to sort of help you as a bit of a side effect. The food noise is reduced and you get fuller quite quickly. A lot of people find they get fuller quite quickly, even on lower doses. So it's very tempting in the beginning to want to cling on to that hunger suppression. It's nice not to feel hungry. It's nice not to be thinking about food all the time, 24/7, about your next meal, what you're going to have for breakfast, what you can have with a cup of coffee, what you're going to have with a snack. Can you have two snacks? Will anybody notice if you take a second donut from the kitchen? All of those things. It's nice to have that stop in the beginning and just to be able to sort of like be in this calm place where you're not thinking, obsessing about food and eating food all of the time. But when you're having hungry days, you can panic a little bit that like the Mounjaro's wearing off and that, now all of that hunger suppression is gone and you're going to go back to your old ways. I know I keep saying this, but managing the hunger effectively is protein, fibre, vegetables. If you like carbohydrates, have some carbohydrates, but also get your water in. You're going to benefit so much from just doing those basics. And if you are having a really hungry day, I would say protein for a couple of days. Get your protein levels up to a really like what seems like too much, because protein will actually quell your hunger better than a lot of other macros will. You can also pair it with fibre, so protein and fibre will really keep you full up. And that might be what you need just to get you over a hump. What I can say about my time so far on a GLP-1 is that my hunger goes sort of like in peaks and troughs. And as you know, I had really heavy suppression sort of like 10 days ago or like 7 days ago. And then it kind of returned to normal levels of hunger. And normal levels of hunger for me are I'll have like a mild hunger not craving, I don't want to pair those words, a mild hunger sensation sort of in the morning, usually for me about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I'll start getting hungry again sort of about 5 o'clock, 5:30. So it's about 5:30 I think at the moment now, and I'm hungry. I'm ready for my dinner. Today is day 6 for me or day 7 for me. How do I count that? Anyway, tomorrow morning is shot day. And I would say that my hunger level is very manageable. If I was busy and doing things, I could probably go tonight without eating. I won't do that. I am going to have dinner tonight, but my hunger levels aren't overwhelming. The other thing I would say when it comes to hunger is, are you actually hungry? And I know that might be controversial. It might offend some people, but are you able to recognise in your body what real hunger is? Do you know what real hunger is? Now, I'm asking this question because I used to have a very good friend who said, "Oh, I'm hungry all the time." But when I said, "What does that feel like?" And she said, "Well, I feel like I need to eat all the time." And I said, "Yeah, but where are you feeling it?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Where are you feeling it?" And she said, "Well, I just know I need to eat. I know I'm hungry." And I said, "But is it in your stomach?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Well, real hunger's in your stomach. That's that growling, grumbling, I'm really hungry sensation." And she went, "Oh, no, that doesn't apply to me." What I thought was like, I don't think you're actually experiencing hunger in your stomach. I think you're experiencing hunger in your head or cravings or whatever. And well, I probably still could do it. I can go hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, even if I'm hungry. Like I don't really act on the hunger cues. So my stomach hunger is usually not a priority for me. What used to be a priority for me was my head hunger, my needing to eat to manage my emotions. So when I'm saying, "Are you really hungry?" If I put down a plate of, I'm going to be ridiculous, if I put down a plate of boiled chicken breasts and I don't know, hard boiled eggs, would that be like, "Oh yeah, that's really going to work for me. I want that." Would, would you be able to eat that? Because if you were hungry, like you really needed to eat, like the thought of chicken breast or like pure protein or hard boiled eggs or even just a plain piece of steak or something like that, would you be able to eat that? Would that satisfy your hunger? Or are you looking for chicken in a creamy mushroom cheesy sauce? Because that's more to do with cravings and satiety and flavor sensation and the enjoyment factor of eating. But real hunger should be able to be quelled by eating something really simple but filling and feeling very satisfied, like, yeah, that sounds good, I'd like to eat that now. So when I'm saying, are you recognizing what real hunger is, that's kind of what I mean. Are you able to distinguish between your head hunger and your stomach hunger, or even just the sensation of needing to eat something because that's the way that you effectively manage your emotions? So it always needs a little unpicking. And if you are hungry all the time and you're thinking about food all the time, it might benefit you to have like some, cooked chicken or I keep saying chicken like it's the only food on the planet, but have some cooked chicken or some I don't know, roast beef or turkey, or if you're a vegetarian, a vegan, like tofu or beans or something, are simple, basic foods that you can have on hand, that when you are feeling hungry, to eat those to see if that helps with those hunger sensations. Have those ready, have those handy to be able to, at times where you think, I'm hungry, go to the fridge. If you don't want those and you want cookies or chips or nuts or things like that, maybe it's not physical hunger. And that's all I'm saying, is that you might need to look at times like that and say, no, I can do without, And like I said, like for me, my tummy hunger I can ignore quite easily. It's the head hunger I really struggle to manage and to deal with. And before, I didn't really even try and manage it. I thought that my normal hunger cues were an interference, really. It wasn't something that I acted on often, but also I didn't feel hungry very often. I mean, there were times, obviously, when I had gone hours and hours without eating. But there were other times when I was eating so much all the time, or snacking, or, drinking coffee with cream and sugar, which is kind of like a meal in itself. It's so calorie dense that I wouldn't get real hunger signals, but I would just eat all the time. I would eat all the time. So yeah, it just examine those hunger cues a little bit. Chances are you're going to have hungry days for the rest of your life. Hunger's normal physiological response to needing to eat. So hunger's going to be in your life as it has been, going forward. So we're not going to manage hunger. We're not going to eliminate hunger. We want to learn how to work effectively with it. And on Mounjaro, like I said, when you've got that hunger suppression, it feels really good in the beginning. And I know for me, I just loved it. I loved the fact that I could go for hours and hours and hours without eating, or I could eat a tiny little bit and then I'd be full up. And when I used to see people eating normal sized portions, eating normal like meal times, breakfast, lunch, dinner, I used to think, oh, they're really not making the most of this Mounjaro. They're just eating for the sake of it. They weren't. They were following a normal, balanced, healthy diet. I was just caught up in that initial wave, that initial rush of excitement that my hunger was gone. My brain was quiet. I was able to eat only small portions when previously I would have cleared my plate. Cleared my plate regardless of how full I was. But I think that only lasts a certain amount of time. I do want to keep my body well fed and well nourished, and really in the best possible way that it can be. The best nutrition, the best feeling, the best outcome for me is a slow and steady weight loss. And I know that now. It's not a rush to the finish line for me anymore. So yeah, just want to say that. Another thing that I think it's worth pointing out is that what I've noticed now is I don't give up just because I have a hungry day or think this isn't going to work, or if I am feeding that hunger, I don't just like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat everything today and I'll start again tomorrow. That all or nothing mentality has very much been kept in control for me by the Mounjaro. So I don't tend to overreact. I tend to have a balanced approach to how I'm dealing with hungry days, in the same way as I have a balanced approach to when I'm having not hungry days. So on the not hungry days, I realise I probably should eat something. I should make a really good choice because I'm probably not going to be able to eat too much of that. So I do that on both days. Like I said, hungry days, not hungry days. I make the best choices that I can in a mindful way, thinking what is going to serve me the best today. And if anybody's familiar with, there's the old Buddhist tenet, I don't know, belief, like that there are hungry ghosts. And the hungry ghosts are these ghosts that kind of like are around all of us, or they're in all of us. I might be butchering this. And they have massive stomachs and massive hunger, but tiny mouths, teeny tiny mouths, so they could never satisfy their hunger. And I heard this explained once, and I thought that was a really good analogy, because that was the same for me, that like no matter how much I ate and I ate and I ate, I wasn't able to satisfy the hunger. And I wasn't feeding hunger, true hunger, I was feeding the hole in my soul. And these hungry ghosts are like the hole in your soul. Your big belly and tiny mouth, and you can never fill up enough to be able to feel satisfied. And I always just think that's a really good analogy for if you're an overeater or you use food to manage your emotions and, you know, how you deal with things. I think that's a really good visualization, or it is for me anyway. But yeah, how do you deal with your hungry days? And I think your hungry days on Mounjaro shouldn't be feared. You should respect them and you should act on them. You know, if you're having a really hungry day, then maybe really feed that hunger. But choose healthy foods, balanced foods, and don't get caught up and don't let it go on too long. If you're having a really hungry day, don't think, oh, just try and get through to dinner, because that could sabotage you in the end, because you don't make it to dinner because you start snacking in the afternoon. I'm not saying snacking's wrong either. You can have a snack. But if you're not feeding the actual stomach grumbling, growling hunger, you're more likely to fall into the old traps of snacking and then over snack in place of eating a real healthy meal. So again, and I am a broken record now, if you're having really hungry days, try and get as much simple, pure protein into you as you can. I mean, I'm not saying overeat on protein, but eat quite a significant amount of protein until you hit that satiety. And when, like, if I'm using like a visual, and I'm going back to chicken breasts again, like maybe a chicken breast and a half rather than just a chicken breast. So your protein's very high, or 3 hard-boiled eggs instead of 2 hard-boiled eggs, or 6 ounces of beans instead of 4 ounces of beans. You know, just try and get your protein level up. And if you do that for a day or two, I don't think you'll be as hungry. I think the protein satisfies the protein hunger, and there is a scientific belief, a scientific understanding that if you don't hit a certain level of protein, and we probably are all hitting that level of protein, but if you don't hit like a minimum threshold of it, you are hungry all the time. Because your body's protein hungry and you're not giving it. And that's why if you're eating carbohydrates and fruits and sugars and, you know, fats and fibre, but not enough protein, you'll just constantly feel hungry because you haven't hit that protein target that your body is craving to be able to sustain all of its functions. So I'm not a scientist, I'm not medical, but I know I've read that along the way, that your body craves protein. So hungry days, in short, eat more protein. Don't worry about hunger. It is a normal part of this. It's as normal a part of your Mounjaro journey as it is a part of everyday life. We just get used to in the beginning not having any hunger or having minimal hunger, and so we become a little bit scared of the hungrier days. So don't worry, don't panic. Eat some protein, drink some water, have some fibre, maybe have a snack if you enjoy as well, and make the most of the hungry days, because they aren't every day. Or if they are every day, then you might need to think about speaking to your provider about going up a dose. That's not my recommendation to make. That is something you need to discuss with a medical professional and take into consideration yourself. But if you are on this journey and you are hungry, physically, grumbly tummy, hungry all the time, then maybe you do need to just go up one dose. But anyway, if you have any questions or you have any comments, how do you deal with hungry days? Do you have hungry days, or are you still in sort of like the high suppression days? You know, hopefully it's going well for you and you're able to assess your week and plan it out correctly, you know, for your most successful, beneficial weight loss. So I'll leave it there. I've gone a bit rambly again, but some people say they like the rambles, so I'm going to leave it in. But yeah, if you have any questions, obviously leave them down below. and I will try and get to those. I cannot give medical advice. I can only give you my experience and what I've read, or point you in direction. But yeah, anything I say should be taken with a pinch of salt. The same with everybody else, unless they have a medical license and they are weight loss experts. I am a weight loss expert in the sense that I have lost weight, and that's my experience. So I'm sharing those facts with you. But anyway, you know what I mean. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on Saturday or Sunday for a weight loss update. So yeah, this is the end of my midweek musing for week 34. Take care. Bye-bye.